More Apple news? Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. So today what we have is another 13 or 14 Apple news stories. To be honest, it's not all Apple news. I think I have a Netflix story in there, maybe a Meta story, but what can you do, right? It's mostly Apple news, so sit back and relax, get your popcorn. Let's get into it. Apple news. Story number one, take a look over here. It says iOS 17 rumored to turn the iPhone lock screen into a smart home display. Is this needed? It's kind of cool, I guess. What they're saying is if you see the picture right here, you're looking at that. On the left-hand side, it's got a bunch of information like the weather and stuff like that. But on the right-hand side, you can see it's got all these little buttons to turn it on and off your lights and all your smart home features. I'm not a huge smart home person. I feel like hitting a switch is a little bit easier than trying to open my phone and hit a switch like that. I'm just old school, but if you like it, it's in here. It just says that it's going to be coming on iOS 17 rumored, and it's going to be like on the always on kind of screen, but you have to tilt your phone kind of horizontal for this to come up. Anyways, take it or leave it. It's coming maybe on iOS 17. It's still kind of a rumor, kind of cool, but I still think flipping the switch is a little easier. All right, story number two. ChatGPT might quit the EU rather than comply with the regulations. So this is maybe one from the European Union that I agree with, all right? I'm not so sure I agree with all their stuff, but on this one, I just do not like AI coming down the pipe so fast. I think it's going to cause huge job shortages, a lot of different things where they're going to be laying off people left and right, and a whole bunch of other things we just don't know about yet, including war and stuff. I've talked about it before. So this is one I think I agree with. Put in the comments, do you agree with this or not? Do you think they should slow down the AI, or do you think it's just inevitable? I think obviously it's coming one way or the other, but I think we just have to understand it a little bit better. When you ask the head of like Google, what is it, what's this program do? And they say, we don't know yet. That's maybe a problem. I think we got to slow down, but let me know your comments. All right, story number three is kind of that thing that, here we have a secret lab. So let's look over here. It says a secret Swiss lab may be driving all of Apple's future products, all right? For some reason, Apple has a secret lab in Zurich, the most expensive city in the world. I went there and I think it was $48 for a hamburger, fries, and a drink or some crazy thing. It's totally ridiculous, right? So we ate from the supermarkets. Anyways, look over here. So if you look at this, it says Apple's got this kind of lab going on in Switzerland, and they're doing all their computer vision, machine learning, robotics, artificial intelligence, robotics. It says robotics twice here. And then basically the autonomous systems here as well. So it says that it's got this thing in Zurich where they're doing a lot of their testing, and of course it can move around. But right now this is kind of the main lab for their future projects. So with take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, it's just something that someone pointed out. I just didn't realize they had a lab out there in Switzerland. Kind of funny, but what can you do? Just seems like it's kind of Dr. Evilish or something out there. All right, so the next story is again about Apple's mixed reality headset coming, and it's going to be hopefully coming at WWDC here 23. So look at my screen over here. Again, it says expected to target developers only with limited production. It's kind of what I told you last time. It says they're only going to be shipping about 100,000 units here, kind of verifying that that's what it is. But down here, it also verifies it's going to reach up to $3,000 per headset. So I think then the first year is going to be basically going after developers trying to create programs and applications and everything else that's going to, obviously bring in the ecosystem. Now, the funny part is, here's the next story. Take a look at this. This is like one of those things like, how do they find these writers, right? I just say, this guy wrote, Apple's headset success depends on ecosystem integration. Wow, that's like mind-blowing, right? Wouldn't anyone figure that that's the main thing, right? So when you read this article too, it's basically saying that, approximately 40% of iPhone owners have Bluetooth headsets in this, and for this to be successful, a lot of people need to get this as well. Well, I'll tell you one thing, at $3,000, that's not going to be it, right? They need to get this down under $1,000. It's going to have a lot of features, and the thing I pointed out last time is it needs to have like real lifetime sports and concerts and some kind of an experience that's going to be different than almost anything else, because everyone's tried gaming before and things like that, and people just would rather play on a screen. But I think that whole reality as far as just the music concerts and sporting events is where the money is. But you let me know what you think. But right away, we're waiting for another year at least before anyone's even going to see this thing. All right, this next story, it's basically one of those stories that gives you a warm feeling and a terrible feeling all in one. And let's look over here. So it says third round of Meta layoffs sends another 6,000 to the unemployment line, right? That's where the terrible feeling is. I don't want nobody to lose their job. But then if you look back over here at this guy right here, Zuckerberg, Mr. Dr. Evil himself, I think, He came up with the Metaverse, and looks like it's failing now. It's the third round of layoffs for them, and his idea is basically getting sunk. It looks like AI took over and not the Metaverse. So that's the only part that's kind of the silver lining, is this guy failing. I don't know why. You tell me, do you like this? Do you not like this guy? I just don't like him for some reason. I can't say why or why not. He just rubs me the wrong way. But everyone else losing their job, I feel sorry for them, and I hope everyone finds one soon. All right, this next article is kind of Apple-ish. It's definitely Apple-ish. I think it is. Check this out. So CarPlay and Android Auto have stranglehold on the new car market. I thought we all know that, right? But I didn't realize it was so big over here. It says, research says that 98% now of newly produced vehicles were compatible with either CarPlay or Android Auto. So 98% of cars have that now, or the ability to. It says 80% of people that want to buy a car here are strong buyers. They want to have Android Auto or CarPlay built in, all right? So there you go. So it looks like they took over the market. So what does GM do next? Let's look down here. So with all that data coming out, what does GM do? However, General Motors is moving in the opposite direction with a partnership from Google, and they're basically going to cut out CarPlay and Android Auto. So if you're thinking about buying a GM car, I don't know if you knew this or not, but it looks like they're going to be getting rid of Android Auto and CarPlay for some reason, and trying to do their own infotainment system. There's just too much money to be involved for these big companies, and they're going to keep trying. All right, the next story is kind of a good story. Again, these are jobs. Look over here. So Apple signs multi-billion-dollar 5G deal with Broadcom. And if you look down here, it says they're going to be producing, wireless antennas and a whole bunch of other filters and stuff. That's not the important thing. The important thing is they're moving to the United States, right? So it says, if I look down here, I'm scrolling all over the place, but it says this deal is part of the commitment from Apple that they made it in 2021 to invest $430 billion in the United States. And I think that's all positive, right? I love Apple and the products and stuff. I'm not so sure about the management. But at the end of the day, let's be honest. They're trying to move away and try to diversify everything, including away from China, basically, in case of Taiwan. And they just want to diversify all their stuff because they had too many eggs in one basket. But it's good news for the United States and hopefully other countries out there that are watching. Obviously, I don't want to take jobs from you either, but it looks like you may get some of these as well because they're diversifying all around the world now just to try to spread out everything. I know they're making some of the chips now going to be in Phoenix and stuff like that. So overall, pretty feel-good story. All right, so for this next story, I kind of touched on this before. It says the PC market had a rough start to 2023 and it only gets just a little bit better in the future. So what does that mean? Well, if we scroll down here, it looks like Apple was down. Basically, it says about, let me see here. It says about 33% in the first quarter for like Mac sales. Now, the interesting part really that I kind of got out of the article here was, it says right here, let me see here. In the consumer market, though, Apple remained even year to year. So it really just touched the educational and commercial markets where they were down 33%. So why is that important? Well, it's not really, but the good news is it looks like the consumer, just us people out here still want to buy Apple, but the educational and commercial areas kind of maybe go through these cycles where they're having a bad year as far as the economy is pretty bad. So a lot of these businesses do not buy new Macs, so they make people keep their computers longer. Same with education, they're going to make people keep their computers longer. They may not upgrade as much. So I think that's going to be more like this. That'll come back. As far as consumers, all of us wanting these new systems, it's still fairly high or at least even. Next story. Apple finally begins offering refurbished 2023 M2 Pro Mac Mini models on the Refurbished Store. That's always good news. So I kind of looked at the article here, see my screen, then I clicked on the link and brought this up. It does have a number of them up here. It's $509, instead of $599. I've actually seen this for $499 at other places. So is that the best deal? If you want to buy it directly from Apple, it's probably not even refurbished. Probably a good deal. But I think some of these better deals are like this one over here. It's $589 only, but it's got the 10 gigabit Ethernet, included on it. So there's some weird ones in here that you may not find at your local Best Buy and stuff. Obviously they sell a lot of different models where you can't go into like your local Best Buy and just find it because they only sell usually the base model there. So if you're thinking about one, these are going to be probably brand new, to be honest with you. So definitely check that out. But they're finally selling the M2 Mac Minis on Apple Refurbished. Oh yeah, next story too, look over here. So if you're thinking about the Apple Pencil or Pen or whatever they call it, it's actually $85 right now. So it's on Amazon. So it's the record low. It'll probably be different tomorrow, so don't beat me up over it, but it got down to $85 from $129. That's the lowest I've ever seen it. I've recommended a whole bunch of pencils. Check out my videos for like $20, $30, but when it gets down to $85, if you want, if you're really serious about it and doing drawing and stuff, it's probably the one to get here. So, obviously, that's a good price point now. Make sure you get it around there and wait for it to come back there later in the year, probably around Christmas and stuff. Just a good price point to know. All right, this next one, I'm kind of scratching my head, but let me know what you guys think. So look over here. It says former Apple engineer Mimestream Gmail client for Mac gets official launch, right? So not that it's important, but what this guy did is he basically made the interface look just like Apple Mail, but it works only with Gmail. So it uses your Gmail and basically gives you the same interface as Apple Mail. You can read all about it in here, but the thing that I had question about this is it's really, the first year is going to be $29.99 per year to use this, or $4.99 per month. Eventually, that's what it's going to be. So is it enough to have to pay? I mean, since Gmail's free, would you pay $5 a month just to have more of the Apple features built into it, have it look like Apple Mail, or is it really not worth it to you? I mean, again, these are little costs. I mean, $5 a month's a cup of coffee, right? But at the end of the day, I just don't see people paying that for an email client when you can get it for free. But you let me know. I mean, sometimes Apple people pay up and I just don't know. Post in the comments. All right, the next story, again, this is not exactly an Apple story, but it probably affects everyone with an Apple computer. Look over here. So Netflix, they say they're finally cracking down on the password sharing in the US, United States. We've been hearing this for a while, and they keep cracking down on it and stuff, and we keep waiting and waiting. But I guess officially people are starting to get this notice saying that if they don't upgrade, obviously they're going to have to upgrade if they keep sharing. And I think it goes up, pay an extra $7.99 a month if they catch you. So if you have people using it in your family from different households that are on different networks and stuff all at the same time, I think they can catch you that way. So be careful. Post in the comments, have you got caught yet? Or are you trying to, does your whole family use the same account? I think a lot of people do it. I think people, Netflix is in a little bit of trouble right now. So by doing this, I just don't know how that's going to go over. I think if someone was to charge me another $7.99 for my account, I would just cancel it. I'd watch what I want to watch if I was in the middle of something, and then I would just cancel it, because it's more now, there's so many different services out there. I mean, $7.99, $8 is $8, but it all adds up, and people just don't want to be taken. If they could do it before, they want to be able to do it now. All right, this last one, we'll wrap up with this one because it's been going a while. Look over here, the alleged iPhone 16 Pro Max CAD, whatever they call it, model. It says that the orientation size is going to change. So look at my screen. So it says, here's the 15 Pro Max, the largest one. This is the Ultra, 16 Ultra now. What they are noticing is, see how it's actually a little bit thinner and a little taller. And again, they're saying it's just a slightly thinner, but taller. So that's how they're going to change the orientation. Now, I kind of like, if it was thinner by a lot, it's easier maybe to grab over and reach different areas of the phone. But when it gets taller like this, I've tried phones like this, Samsung phones and stuff. If you have small pockets and stuff, it's it sticks out of your pocket easy. It can fall out of your pocket basically. It gets too long. So let me know what you think in the comments. But it says that all the phones are growing to almost 6.3 and 6.9 inches on their next release of the 16s. So if you're looking into small phones, it's not going that direction. They're still getting bigger. All right, so we're going to wrap up the video. Let me know what you guys think on this news. I'm trying to do this maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, just to kind of keep up with the news and all the things going on with Apple. Let me know if you guys like this. Please watch the video, subscribe, like, do whatever you can to maybe help me keep these going. I need to get views on them to keep them going, but if you like the news, obviously you can go out and read them. I just like to find the most interesting articles, talk about them. You guys can sit back and watch them. So let me know in the comments, and we'll talk to you. We have a Memorial Day weekend here, and again, for all the soldiers out there, I definitely want to say thank you. But at the end of that, so I'm going to be off maybe until maybe Sunday. I'll take a little break there, but we'll see you in a couple days. Peace.